Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Thursday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your quick forecast update for tonight. This is probably not going to be the longest stream that we have, just because the weather is still pretty quiet as we go into the weekend, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we do expect a little bit of a warm-up going into next week. And, of course, we're still watching what could potentially be maybe a more active Wednesday as we get closer to next week. So a little bit more on that coming up. But here is a look at some of the observed high temperatures for today. Not quite as warm as yesterday, but still saw some areas get up to about 32 this afternoon. Mount Pleasant 35, Clare 34. Mount Pleasant, that sensor seems to be running a little hot lately, so not sure that that 35 is indicative of what actually happened there. I've reached out to the National Weather Service and haven't really heard whether they're going to take a look at that sensor or not. But that one is running a little bit warm lately, so if you are in Mount Pleasant and you've noticed our temperature there being a little bit warmer than usual compared to some of the surrounding areas, that is probably why. As we head into the weekend, seems like we've got some decent weather Saturday and Sunday. We are keeping tabs on Saturday. Some of our weather models that we call high-resolution weather models, they're the ones that pick up on finer details just a little bit better. Some of those seem to be suggesting more of a cloudier trend today towards Saturday. Not really sure whether I'm buying that just yet. We like to see those trends get consistent for a while before we jump on them for good. So we're going to keep Saturday mostly sunny for now, but don't be surprised if that one changes a little bit. But I do think it's a pretty nice wrap up to the weekend on Sunday. And even in the absence of a mostly sunny sky Saturday, even if we do trend a little bit cloudier, you shouldn't have to worry about precipitation this weekend. So if you just want to get outside, it's still chilly, obviously. But if you just want to get outside and maybe take a walk, maybe go for a longer walk than you have been, those types of things, I think you'll be in pretty good shape this weekend. And also, cloudier conditions and warmer conditions are a little bit better than sunny and warmer conditions for those who want to be out on the ice still. I would obviously express caution to you the next several days, just because we do expect this percentage to drop off going into next week. We're already down from the 58% that we had last week down to about 43%. If you zoom in, the Saginaw Bay is still in relatively good shape as far as ice that is put together. What we call fast ice, which means it's fastened to the shoreline areas. So it's going to take some time before that ice really fades away. So I still think we've got some time, but obviously the more days that go by here, the more caution that we need. So the latest update from the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. National Ice Center today says that the Saginaw Bay is still roughly about 12 to 18 inches thick. So the ice coverage has gone down in total, but the Saginaw Bay thickness doesn't seem to have changed, and still looks like some of those areas towards Oscoda, where you see it in red, seems like some of the thickness there is still about 6 to 12 inches. But obviously not many people are going that far out when it comes to some of those ice fishing areas. So there's that. As far as your forecast goes here, let me take a look at some of the high temperatures as we go through tomorrow. Just on a localized level, this is our 5-zone forecast, which we don't always get to show you on air, but usually is something that we have more time for in this type of setting. But we expect temperatures to be warmer in some of our southern locations for tomorrow. Could be mostly around the upper 30s, low 40s in some of our southerly zones. So areas like Swartz Creek, Flint, Grand Blanc, all around the low 40s tomorrow. And then as we move into the next area, which is the Thumb, could be a little bit cooler there. Apologies, skipped ahead a little bit. We've got more middle to upper 30s in the Thumb and some of our coolest locations right along the lakeshore. Southwesterly winds are pretty light for pretty much everybody for tomorrow. a mixture of upper 30s and low 40s in some of our central and western zones, closer to US 127 near Mount Pleasant, and then upper 30s and low 40s to the north. Mostly it seems like upper 30s through Roscommon and Ogemaw County, mostly low 40s in Clare and Gladwin. And then we've got mostly 30s in Alcona County, mostly 30s in Iosco, but then some 40s in places like Alger, Sterling, Standish, Kings Mill, those regions. And then extended forecast here, temperature-wise, still holding out to those 40s going into next week. Still think there is a world where some of these temperatures could end up being a little bit warmer on Wednesday if that system we talked about last night goes a little bit further to the north. What that tends to do is it tends to bring in warm air a little bit farther to the north as well. So we'll see what happens. I think next week is interesting to watch when it comes to that system that's coming through. Here's kind of a look at it. We may see rain as soon as late Tuesday night. This is a change from the American GFS model today compared to what it was last night. It was a little bit more southerly and had some snow over the area, but it seems to have gone closer to what was the European solution today, which is a more northerly track and keeping snow mostly in northern lower Michigan or in the UP. And then it keeps most of the area through the day Wednesday rain, maybe a little snow and mix on the backside, and then it kind of moves out. But if that continues more of a northerly trend, I think it's possible we get some 50s around the TV5 viewing area. So that is something that I think we'll get more consistency going into next week. And Linda made a good comment on Facebook. Good evening. Had a hard time getting this live stream up tonight. Yeah, I think we're having some technical difficulties on our actual website. So one of the things that you can do is if you get that push alert and for whatever reason the website portion is not working, we will be here on Facebook typically or on YouTube. So you can find us there. But yeah, Linda, we apologize if it was a little bit more difficult. Thankfully, Linda, the forecast hasn't really changed all that much. We've seen pretty much a consistent forecast. We're still watching this system going into next week. Again, for those of you who are just joining, mostly rain, it seems like through Wednesday, and then maybe a turn towards snow or mixed precipitation on the backside going into Thursday, and that's reflected in our 7-day forecast as well. And that's, I think, when we start to cool down a little bit. Thursday might not be the coldest day next week, but I think that starts maybe that the downward trend of the roller coaster. We go up the hill through Wednesday and then down a little bit towards the end of next week. But the important thing to know with that system Wednesday is right now it seems like it's favoring more of a northerly track, which would bring us rain. But for what it's worth, we talked about how the European model was the rainy one yesterday. Well, that flip-flopped earlier this afternoon. Let me see if I can log in quickly here to our model website, and let me just see if should have another round of the Euro information coming through, and the Euro went south a little bit again, so I think that's interesting. So the European model is the one that's going south now, while some of the others like the Canadian and the American model are a little bit more northerly. So I think that's very interesting. Worth noting for next week. If it goes a little bit further to the south, well, then our warmer temperatures are going along with it. So that would cool things down rather than warm things up if it continues that way. And also, one thing that I don't like to see is that the European model, by going a little bit further south, also brings the chance potentially for some mixed precipitation in there, which could mean some freezing rain. Now, that's still several days away, so we don't have to worry about that just yet. But we're getting to that time of year, especially as we start seeing these warmer temperatures. That's sort of the flip side to the coin, is that we get warmer, but we also open ourselves up for a little bit more mix. So there is that. Let me see if there's anything else to really get into tonight. Again, we've got your weekend forecast right here. Saturday and Sunday both look like 2 bright days. I think tomorrow's pretty nice as well. But here's kind of what I mean for Saturday when I'm talking about potentially it getting a little bit cloudier. So if we fast forward to Saturday morning, it's got pretty much overcast conditions and it seems like it wants to kick up a few flurries too, but this just doesn't seem to fit. Models are just simulations, so sometimes they're pretty good, sometimes they're not. And occasionally they do. There are occasions where we think they might be lying to us and they're actually picking up on something. But that's where we like to look at consistency. It could be something where it clouds up for one run of data and then the next one it's sunny again. So we've got to see if this is consistent. But sometimes when we also get into these transitions where we're melting snow and we're adding moisture to the atmosphere, sometimes the models can kind of overdo the moisture a little bit. And so, for instance, the model last night had more cloud cover today than what we ended up seeing. And so it could just be something that's, kind of playing with it a little bit, making it think there's more moisture than what there actually is. It could be thinking that there's more snow to melt than what there actually could be, and that's kind of fogging things up in the atmosphere. So there's a lot of different reasons, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think this, even if we see more cloud cover Saturday, I think this is too much. I don't expect an overcast day. I think the change could be something like maybe mostly sunny to potentially a partly cloudy type day, or a partly to mostly cloudy type day. I don't think we're going just completely gray like we have been the last couple of days. So that's kind of where things stand for that, but we'll maybe have a different look at that tomorrow. So that's pretty much it for tonight. Let me just check while we've got our 7-day up. We had our friend Marty, the airborne angler, on last week. Let me see if he's got any pictures of any flights that he's done. Doesn't look like it. Nothing new. So we'll have to touch base with him. We'll see if he's out flying this weekend. But I also know that he likes to make sure that he's also enjoying the ice fishing while it's happening. So this is a really good week for that. He was telling us on the stream last week that it's nice to go out ice fishing when you don't have to bundle up quite as much. So, all right, no new questions tonight. I think that also has something to do. We're not getting our usual crowd just because of the website issues and things like that. So hope everyone has a great Thursday night, and hopefully you have a great weekend if you don't see us tomorrow. And hopefully we can get some clarity on that system next week for you as we go through the next couple of days as well. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, as you always do. You make the stream worthwhile, and we will see you next time.